One Zambia, one nation. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on tonight's edition of the Zanis News. To present it, my name is Kalan Mochima. The headlines. President Hichilema weighs in at Transform Africa Summit. Lokopa Bridge in Kasama in need of repair. Malaria cases swell in Rwangwa district. Wildlife poisoning irks government. And now the news in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has addressed the 60th edition of the Transform Africa Summit with a call on African countries to harmonize laws in order to enhance trade. The summit is being held under the theme Connect, Innovate and Transform. Amos Zulu now reports.
President Hichilema is among other heads of state and government attending the Transform Africa Summit being hosted by Zimbabwe. Other heads of state attending the summit include Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi, King Mswati III of Eswatini, and the host, Emerson Mnangagwa. President Hichilema and his counterparts took time to tour some exhibition stands to appreciate technological advancement. Later, the heads of state and government addressed the delegates.
The only way for us to catch up is to take a shortcut. And the only shortcut available to us now is technologies that allow us to go digital in every sector.
Already many of the new high-quality jobs being created in Africa are powered by technology and connectivity. And that applies even to traditional sectors such as agriculture.
In today's world, digital infrastructure and connectivity are vital to the success of business, government, and individuals.
It has taken quite some time for Africa, when it became independent, to immediately promote science and technology. We somehow looked up to the former colonizers until recently we discovered that the first world was built because they focused on science and technology.
President Hichilema wants laws harmonized among African countries.
More importantly, with our digital platforms that are talking to each other. I'm talking of the infrastructure. Digital platforms that are not talking to each other because the laws are not harmonized. We must harmonize our laws. We must harmonize our platforms technically so they are talking to each other.
The Transform Africa Summit is being held under the theme Connect, Innovate and Transform. Amos Zulu, Victoria Falls Town, Zimbabwe.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's Permanent Secretary for Information, Communication, Technology, Postal and Courier Services, Beola Chirume, has urged African countries to help young people advance their technological capacities. Dr. Chirume, who was speaking on the sidelines of the 60th edition of the Transform Africa Summit, said her country is helping youths with a startup capital to start ICT businesses. Here's a report.
2023 Transform Africa Summit has opened here in Victoria Falls Town in Zimbabwe as different countries continue to showcase their advancements in technology, with host Zimbabwe and Rwanda taking part.
We are promoting the young people, the startups, to be able to participate effectively in the digital transformation of their nation. We also have the digital transformation section, where we are actually showing our high performance computing facilities. We are also showing our ZimStat-1 satellite, which is a very interesting innovation as far as the digital transformation of Zimbabwe is concerned. We also have, more importantly, the smart agriculture, where we are taking the lead as a country and where a number of countries in the Smart Africa domain as well as others will also learn from what we are doing. As you can see there, we have a smart pivot which is remotely controlled and other technologies.
Few examples from Rwanda, what we've done in terms of digital services on the national portal. We have companies here which provide different solutions for logistics, for transportation, for citizen identification. We have a company that manufacture and operate drones and different solution for the public sector. So what we want to say is see what we've done in Rwanda.
President Hakainde Hichilema is among other heads of state that are taking part at this year's Transform Africa Summit here in Zimbabwe. The Transform Africa Summit is being held under the theme Connect, Innovate, Transform, and is being held from 26th to 28th April 2023. Amos Zulu, Victoria Falls Town, Zimbabwe.
In education news, government has put up the first ever primary school at Makundu community in Mufumbwe district. We have the rest of the story in the following report.
Situated about 310 kilometers south of Mfumbwe Central Business District in Lalafta Ward, this is Makundu community. Since independence, children here have not been going to school, except for a few determined ones who have been covering about 13 kilometers to Lalafta Primary School.
Tutapana uno skuru ke kuntu kwa kuikara fuma tukamota tambujire independence na mwapangijire yoba desa inontanda kwa bujire pa skuru ne nowe kuno ukamitwe bayantu mutsikanda kwa kuma bangombe ne kukato mikwakwa. The
lack of a school has historically been a threat for both children and the development of the area, based on the fact that when you educate a person, you are giving them an opportunity for a better life and greater impact in society. Through the increased Constituency Development Fund (CDF), government has today given an opportunity for a better life to the boys and girls by constructing a 1x3 classroom block in the area.
Kwa presidenti ne kafumende wa UPND tukonshe ushinkura uno skuru ushinkure nire ya shupa pano pantu
mjuba jarero mwitu paskuru tu asante pakatampe kya kine kine kwamba mapesho ayenga tibyo nkabino kaijikino kipona kya mujibu. The
Mfumbwe MP is impressed with the quality of works done on the 643,000 kwacha school project, especially that the school is situated 310 kilometers from the central business district.
Today we are appreciating this building because the contractor who was here has done extremely well. And these are the contractors that we are going to recommend for future works.
Indeed, the construction of this infrastructure will provide for quality lifelong education for children in Makundu that is accessible, inclusive and relevant to individual, national and global needs and value systems. John Muhanga reporting for Zanis, Mfumbwe district in Northwestern Province.
In Northern Province, Kasama Central Constituency Member of Parliament Sibongile Mwamba has asked government to work on the Lukupa Bridge on the Kasama and Porokoso Road. Ms. Mwamba says that the bridge is in a deplorable state and needs urgent attention. Jafet Mukondia has more in the following report.
This is the state of the Lukupa Bridge along Kasama and Porokoso Road. The bridge, which is a major link connecting Kasama to districts in the province, namely Porokoso, Zama and Kaputa, is in a bad state. This has caught the attention of Kasama Central Member of Parliament Sibongile Mwamba, who is in her constituency to monitor developmental projects in the area. Ms. Mwamba has since appealed to government through the Minister of Infrastructure to quickly work on the bridge.
So we actually have the big buses, the Marco Polo buses, that transport people every single day to and from various parts of the country. So when we look at how big the bus is and the load, this bridge is actually a death trap. So having to look into the plight of this bridge will really, really assist us in the northern province. It will also assist everybody to feel safe, especially the road users.
Motorists says it is becoming a challenge using the Lukupa bridge.
So ingechakutira venga tuamisha kufya penye hapa chawa makusana. Bantu pala ponene mioto keshingi pali ponene matiraki imbi mlanka pajero ya kufya ponene peni side ka bridge pe.
Ichama tabachimbi traki na chena cha ingilidi ukoko cha ingilidi. So cha tulelomba kufika kubuteko batrole keshepo umulandu wa bulalovu bwadicheka odonokona ikabwadionaika.
Others are wary of accident that has or may occur at the bridge.
Museboita wawa maneno pepano no Jordan nga ile sunkana tutisafiresa bafweni ababantu abushenyimye obwino. Kwena nabatu afo tulipanchi mwe uteko mtu afeko. Kuri umusebo twa papata. Tumoneka kwa tifo twalisulwa kuno kumpolokoso road.
Reporting for Zanis in Kasama, I'm Jafet Munkondia.
Meanwhile, in Muchinga province, Muzeze community in Isoka district has appealed to the local authority to remove the heaps of sand on the 5-kilometer stretch of the road. The Isoka Town Council left heaps of sand removed from a blocked drainage a year ago, and residents are not happy, saying the situation is inconveniencing. Details in this report.
In the last 1 year, these piles of sand and garbage on a 5-kilometer stretch of Central Business District Road in Isoka has remained uncollected. After the upgrade of Isoka's 21.6 kilometers township road and its subsequently partial handover in 2019, the contractor left out the drainage component that has placed the burden to the council.
Ebomba bakanso bale turika fe musebo fyonse fo bafunya mu drainage ba turika mu musebo imyoto katashire pita bwino almost 2 years musebo oli 15 so turayipusha bakanso muri kwisa
ifimaro bababika mu musebo ife baturika bakanso kwe bati basafise ndako bwangu lile ifina nkota firaisa so that at least na road yakura ko kairi ninka wanu leni akaso karesa mukuchepa viranga baturika ku fimichanga munshira.
At the roundabout, the structure is falling apart and unblocking of drainage followed by delays of garbage collection by the council has posed a danger.
So I want once nyene aweninga wiza wapone la papaka ya Afrika papalanda about wakalolo kuti kweni konsi nyene ko avyo wisile mwisoka muri viko vitu kuni.
What is the local authorities'
stance? This has been necessitated by limited transport that we are currently experiencing. However, we are working around the clock to ensure that these are collected. Encourage members of the general public that they should avoid, by all means, to indiscriminately dump garbage.
It's vital that Zambian contractors and engineers up the game in ensuring that the road constructions meet the standards. Fred Piri, Zanis News, Isoka, Chinga Province.
In Lusaka province, the increased number of malaria cases in Luangwa district has raised concern among stakeholders. The district has recorded 3,683 cases of malaria in the first quarter of 2023. Lester Ndumba has more in the following report.
Increasing numbers of malaria cases has raised concern among the stakeholders in the district. Luangwa District Commissioner Luke Chikan says the district will continue to pursue alternates of primary health care philosophy in the fight against the cholera disease in the district.
It should also ensure that community-driven activities are equally given priority and attention in the fight against malaria. It is important to reiterate that as Luangwa District, we shall continue to embrace these interventions with cost-effective approach and the surest way of improving key health indicators in malaria prevention and control programs in Mpuka Chiefdom and the district at large.
Representing the District Director of Health, Tapia Chisengo, District Malaria Elimination Officer, Malon Kontashi, said the Malaria Day commemoration helps the practitioners to re-emphasize the preventive measures
This event has come at a time when the district is recording high number of malaria cases. This event is important for us as a district as it will help re-emphasize preventive measures.
Chongwe Rufunza, faith leader advocates for malaria elimination, Father Dominic Dajijimana, Luangwa Child Development Agency Chief Executive Officer Danford Makai, and Mpoka Ward Councillor Boniface Tembo called on the community to actively participate if malaria is to be eradicated in the district.
In this particular pandemic, ya malaria, tizi preacher, consequence, muma churches ya, consequence chavu pamene tisonkana, tizi preacher, no limbisa akristo watu, kuti timenye nkondo pamoja na government, kuti matenda wa ya malaria, choke pakati pa.
Mwaka bana bachepere na wazimaye watu hapa kati na nkaramba ninkani yovutisa kwa mbili amene. So chamene imile kunufuna chie kukamba kulimbisa mawe ya kuti zefunika kuti onse tisebenzera che pamozi.
Malaria Day was commemorated under the theme Time to Deliver Zero Malaria, Invest, Innovate, Implement, Listandumba, Luangwa District.
We now take you to Shangombo district in the western part of this country where over 7,000 mothers are being empowered with agriculture inputs to combat child stunting in households. District Nutrition Support Coordinator Koleti Jonga says the program is being implemented under the Scaling Up Nutrition Phase 2 program. Kasweka Sakayombo had filed in this report.
Western Province generally experienced some flash floods and dry spells adversely affecting agricultural yields during the 2022-2023 farming season. However, despite the dry spells, Sikuka Sililo, a Scaling Up Nutrition Phase 2 San 2 Nutrition Support Group member and farmer in Muyachi village of Shangombo district, realized a substantial yield. Ms. Sililo received 5 kg seed of orange maize under the San 2 being implemented through the Ministry of Agriculture with support from World Food Programme, WFP and United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF.
Miri tumezea hulu wanu balo file peo, yalo kone kulima mnoma ha. Ezo holsa na peo yo mwa Disemba. Kono kone kutoichala.
During the 2022-2023 farming season, the Department of Agriculture conducted training in good agriculture practices and distributed orange maize seeds to 631 farmers who are San 2 beneficiaries.
The whole February was no rain. We just received rain in January. But despite that, she has managed to produce. I'm sure after having trained under good agriculture practices, she applied that one. And this is the result.
District Nutrition Support Coordinator Koleti Chonga explains the main objective of the Scaling Up Nutrition Phase 2 program.
So in the district we have about 7,952 beneficiaries that are benefiting under the program. So the program has that component where through the Ministry of Agriculture we are supporting the mothers with agricultural inputs. So these inputs includes orange maize. So we can be able to say that this household is also nutritionally secured.
Kasweka Sakambo reporting, Shangombo District, Western Province.
And on the Copperbelt Province, the local authority in Mpongwe District has dispersed over 2.9 million kwacha to 19 small and medium enterprises in the area. The money is part of the revolving fund component under the Constituency Development Fund CDF. Noaka Gali brings us this report.
The Constituency Development Fund CDF is becoming a reality for the residents of Mpongwe District. The local authority in the area has disbursed a total of 2.9 million kwacha to 19 local enterprises under the revolving fund component of the CDF. Mpongwe Town Council Chairperson Emmanuel Masanga graced the handover of the loans to the local enterprises and business houses.
The idea of the New Dawn government is to empower the locals. We don't want amongst you businessmen and women to do a business outside the district. The idea is to ensure that that amount is invested in Mpongwe, and through that amount, a lot of people get employment, a lot of our youth will get employment, and the economy of our district will go up.
Beneficiaries under the revolving fund component thanked the New Dawn administration for making the Constituency Development Fund a reality.
A great opportunity for us to be given this loan so that we utilize it properly. We are very grateful to the President for this initiative, of which we hope when we pay back, others will benefit also.
Amashwi tukwete for that benefit kutota ba president kutota na New Dawn government bafi ya chita kuno kumpongwe eko batifi balaide ba president badefikirisha.
And speaking during an orientation workshop for beneficiaries of the revolving fund, Mpongwe District CDF Chairperson Nebet Mukwalala urged the recipients to put the funds to good use.
Don't misuse that money. It's a loan. Have that in mind that this money I've given is a loan. It's not a free money. You need to pay back.
Noah Kangali for Zanis in Mpongwe.
In Central Province, Kabwe District Commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa says government is determined to uplift people's living standards, especially vulnerable women and youths. Mr. Shimwambwa said this when he checked on Uluselwa Balesa Women Cooperative, who received a 32,000 kwacha grant from the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Here's a report.
The increased Constituency Development Fund has continued to impact positively on the lives of people, especially the vulnerable in society. Uluselwa Balesa Women Cooperative received a 32,000 kwacha grant from the Constituency Development Fund for their chicken business, and they are full of praises for the government.
Iteniamikira kwambiri kuti Mulungu ndiye amenayikapo kwanja. Iteniamikira kwambiri kuri a president wa HH kuti bapitirize na mpaso ya meneyi kuri bana masiye bambiri kulazima ya masiye bambiri kuri bakine wosoberatu koma tuyamikira Mulungu kuti mupitirize osaperera pamene apa Mulungu akomsogolelani na bantu amene mpasani umusebenzana nawo mu government.
Group Chairperson Gertrude Chulu says the grant has helped them create jobs for themselves.
Uluselwa Balesa Women's Cooperative, we applied for a grant and we were privileged to be given 32,000. As we applied in our grants, we applied to raise chicken broilers, of which we have managed to raise some chicken broilers. They are about 250 in number. You can see DC, most of these women, they are vulnerable. Some of them, they are widows. They've got nothing to do. So we say thank you to the President. Through the CDF grants, now he has given us the privilege to it's not the jobs, but in other means he has given us a job. We are not going for work every day, but through the grants, we are able to raise money and put food on the table.
Wacha Ward Councillor Louis Tembo says the group needs to be connected with market for the chickens.
They're the first one that have seen that the CDF is automatically working for the New Dawn government. What we would love is that maybe, like what the chair lady alluded in our first statement, that you help them to connect them in supplying, especially with institutions like Kwame Nkrumah, Mnumbushi University, even in Kabwe Central Hospitals.
And Kabwe District Commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa says government is determined to better the lives of citizens.
We made a commitment from the beginning that we shall look after our people, and this is a demonstration of how the president wants to look after their people.
Oh yes.
Like you are rightly saying, our chair, we cannot employ everybody, but we can empower everybody.
Oh yes.
And I think that is important. So also to just encourage those that may not have received the grant, that also their time will come to you, because people are saying CDF they bomba, but it's working. It's you telling us. It's not me coming to tell you. Right? The moment we say to say, it's any moment in Piama who take about pay.
Kelvin Tembo for Zanis in Kabwe, Central Province.
From the success stories of the constituency development funds, we now take you to tourism news, where Parliamentary Committee on Energy, Water, Development and Tourism, Vice Chairperson Chanda Katontowe says Samfya District has opened up to social and economic opportunities. The Vice Chairperson, who led a team in touring various sites in the district, says the area is a potential strategic corridor for tourism enhancement in the region. Details are in this report.
In an effort to promote tourism sector in the Northern Circuit, a Parliamentary Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism has visited Samfya District with a call to support the tourism sector in the district. Luapla constituency Member of Parliament Chanda Katontowe, who was accompanied by his counterparts from the committee, says there is much to be done in order to transform Samfya into a tourist destination.
The administration in Zambia, you have our total support to boost tourism in the area, and being the tourist capital of the Northern Circuit, you need to do a lot of work integrated with the provincial administration. The whole province, Northern, Uchenga and Bwakula, they share one lady in charge of tourism, which is a mammoth task. But this information, it must be filtered, it must translate into the budget. We would want to see a proposed budget allocation and the Ministry of Tourism to have a permanent officer to coordinate tourist activities in Luapula province.
So we've been encouraging actually stakeholders to find some common ground where they can work towards ensuring that tourism is put on the development agenda. Since we are saying that tourism is going to be a major pillar in our economy, it means that we cannot continue conducting our business in the usual manner without giving it the attention that it now requires, so that it comes to that position where indeed it's fed, whether after mining, after agriculture, and we begin to see the benefits coming out of tourism and the job potential that it can create.
And Samfya District Council Chairperson James Kapilila disclosed that the Tourism Information Center is one of the main infrastructures that is part of tourism in the district.
The opening up of the Tourism Center, which is going to help stand as a center to give information and also around the country, not just for the Northern Circuit, so that it can stand as a linkage between the Northern Circuit and of course the Southern Circuit, which is already established in tourism.
Betsheba Katebe reporting for Zanis News in Samfya District in Luapula Province.
Still in tourism news, government has expressed concern over increased reports on wildlife poisoning. Minister of Tourism Permanent Secretary Evans Muhanga says wildlife poisoning has immensely contributed to the decline of wildlife population and habitat degradation. Take a look at this report by Lakson Makosa.
Like many other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, is grappling with high cases of wildlife poisoning. Among the bird species that are vulnerable to human poisoning are vultures, whose bones are believed to have medicinal value. Government is saddened with reports of wildlife poisoning and has since called for urgent attention to mitigate the vice. Minister of Tourism Permanent Secretary Evans Muhanga raised the concern in a speech read for him by Acting Director in the Department of National Parks and Wildlife Andrew Chomba during the Wildlife Poisoning Response Protocol Workshop.
The period of 2013 to 2020 saw an increase in poisoning incidents in Zambia, most notably in 2013, where we recorded 2 confirmed poisoning incidents where animals died in huge numbers in Siomangwezi and North Luangwa National Parks. Whereas in the South Luangwa National Park, 4 hyenas and 12 vultures were killed as a result of scavenging on an elephant carcass which was poisoned by poachers.
Government indicates that data has shown that the animal population is declining due to wildlife poisoning.
The Ministry of Tourism is committed to safeguarding Zambia's wildlife, natural heritage, and ensuring the sustainability of our wildlife populations for generations to come. Wildlife poisoning is a great concern that poses a significant threat to Zambia's precious wildlife. It has been implicated in the decline of wildlife populations, habitat degradation, and loss of human lives.
Speaking at the same event, Birdwatch Zambia, Chief Executive Officer Daniel Piri said the successful implementation of the draft wildlife poisoning response protocol will greatly help in combating the poisoning of wildlife.
Development of the protocol is a crucial step in our efforts to mitigate the impacts of wildlife poisoning in Zambia. The draft protocol we are reviewing today is a result of a collaborative effort by various stakeholders. It outlines the steps that should be taken in response to wildlife poisoning incidents.
Reports of wildlife poisoning must be treated as an emergency that requires multidisciplinary response to prevent further poisoning and loss of wildlife. For Zanis, I'm Lakson Makoza.
Thank you so much, Makoza, for that indeed great report. And as we conclude the news, we now look at what's making headlines in sports news, where the Confederation of African Athletics has officially opened the two-day 31st Council of Congress meeting ahead of the African Athletics Junior Championship that commences this weekend in Ndola. Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts, Elvis Nkandu, says the decisions that will be made at the Congress meeting will positively impact on the lives of young people. Nkandu says athletics help in reducing the number of teenage pregnancies, drug abuse and early child marriages as they are kept busy with sports. He stated that the future of African athletics depend on the policy decisions by the Congress councils. And World Athletics President Sebastian Coe said athletics now sit at 4th position in global sports and also hold first position in terms of global reputation. Meanwhile, Council of African Athletics President Hamad Maubom thanked the Zambian government for its support by accepting to host the African Athletics Championship. Over 700 athletes have arrived in Zambia ahead of the African Athletics Junior Championship that commences this weekend in Ndola.
The future of African athletics is here in this room. As I said earlier, in as far as policy direction is concerned, and I repeat, in as far as policy direction is concerned, the future is with us here. If we make a mistake, that mistake will not only be in this room, it will be a mistake that will haunt us for the rest of our lives. Our most important stakeholder in this regard, the athlete, is looking up to us in clearly visioning of athletics in Africa. Yes, the World Athletics is here to support us. Indeed, they are here to support us, but it must be us as Africans to determine where we want to take athletics for the next decade.
But I've also concluded, particularly when I look around this room today, that those of you who choose to serve in this sport, in the high office that you do not choose to do so because you believe you're entering a popularity contest. The decisions we made recently around Russia and the protection of the female category landed on the right side of public opinion.
Kindly allow me, on your behalf, to express our gratitude to the highest authorities of the Republic of Zambia, more particularly to the head of state, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, who kindly gave his very high approval for our presence here today and for the next few days in the framework of our activities. May the Minister of Youth and Sports and Arts, hereby present, find in these few words the expression of our gratitude for the measures taken by his ministerial department to ensure an effective and successful organization of our championships, despite some unforeseen events related to the availability of sports facilities on the site initially planned for these competitions.
That sporting item brings us to the end of our news. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines once again. President Hichilema weighs in at a Transform Africa Summit. Lokupa Bridge in Kasama in need of repair. Malaria cases swell in Wangwa district. Plus, wildlife poisoning irks government. That's the end of the news. Thank you so much for your company. My name is Kala Mchima. Good night.